Disconnect the cable from the power button card and the LCD cable from the system board. Disconnect the trackpad cable and both of the keyboard cables from the system board. Remove 3 retaining screws. Carefully lift the system board straight up from the keyboard bezel assembly. System board onto the chassis. Install 3 retaining screws. Connect the trackpad cable. And both of the keyboard cables to the system board. Connect the LCD cable to the system board. Connect the cable to the power button card. Disconnect the DC-in cable from the system board. Remove the single retaining screw. Tilt the connector up to free it from its chassis bracket. Place the bracket tab of the DC-in connector into its securing clip. Install a single retaining screw. Install the cable into the guides on the side of the thermal fan. Connect the DC-in cable to the system board. Remove 4 screws from the hinge support bracket. Remove the bracket. Lift the power button card off its guide post. Place the power button card onto the keyboard bezel using the guide post for alignment. Install the bracket onto the chassis. Install 4 retaining screws. Remove 6 screws from the keyboard spacer. Raise the spacer up and away from the cables to remove. Place the keyboard spacer onto the keyboard bezel. Secure the spacer with 6 screws. Carefully pry up the protective cover from the touchpad. Carefully pry up the mylar tape off of the touchpad ribbon cable. Disconnect the touchpad cable by raising the locking tab up and pulling the cable out from its connection. Disconnect the fingerprint reader cable. Remove 6 screws near the back edge of the system. Lift the left edge of the keyboard, then slide it to the left to free it from the bracket. Align the keyboard face down onto the keyboard bezel. Insert the upper right corner of the keyboard under the bracket. Install the 6 screws securing the keyboard to the keyboard bezel. Connect the touchpad cable and secure the locking tab. Apply the Mylar tape. Carefully apply the protective cover onto the touchpad. Connect the fingerprint reader cable to the card. Install the bracket onto the chassis. Install 4 retaining screws.